From reckless breeding practices to rising abandonment rates, Hong Kong has many harrowing stories. But let's hear about the solutions. Where do we begin, Darren?
I love my dog. I love my dog probably more than my wife. Don't tell my wife I said that. But just like people, animals deserve our attention, love and respect as well. But unfortunately, for some pet owners, pets to them are only properties. Very little things that with no real feelings or emotional needs. So even though Hong Kong is a fairly small place, there are thousands upon thousands of animals being abandoned every year. But despite this appalling state of affair, there are those who are fighting tooth and nail for the well-being of these animals. Today, we're going to meet some of those guys behind the scenes and explore the importance of their work. So Sheila, how long have you been running this charity for?
We became a registered charity in 2003.
Right, so that's a while. So throughout these years, what sort of changes have you seen in the pet culture in Hong Kong?
It's changed radically. The attitudes to companion animals has really changed in Hong Kong. When I first started doing this, most of what I encountered was there was a lot of abuse and neglect.
Right.
And now there's more of a companion animal culture. It's considered quite a lovely thing to join your family.
But like you said, back in the day, abuses and things like that were a bit worse.
A bit more common.
A bit more common.
Yes.
So what kind of things have you seen?
A lot of poisoning.
Poisoning?
Yes, that was...
What, of strays? Not of their own dogs, clearly, surely.
Of people's dogs, yes.
Oh, I see.
Yes. Also, you know, restaurants throwing boiling oil or whatever on a feral cat or dog that came by, that kind of thing.
Oh.
I've come across kids using puppies as basketballs.
Yeah.
So, no, that sort of thing, I just don't see it anymore. I used to find kittens and puppies in boxes next to the rubbish bins, or even inside the rubbish bins.
You know, doing this for so many years, it couldn't have been easy. What sort of struggles and challenges have you been facing?
We're an all-volunteer group.
Yep.
That means that everybody in LAP is truly passionate about helping the animals, because they have a choice. It's not a job. Everybody here is giving their time and energy and love, and it's a real mission. It's quite dirty work, it's intense, it's quite emotional.
How is it emotional? Can you dive a little bit deeper into that?
Well, if we take in an animal that is unwell, our normal procedure would be to rescue and then to give them medical care. Sometimes they're very, very sick. We truly do it because we care. Of the different areas that we get animals from, the 5 main categories would be the AFCD, which is the government, then surrenders from people, and a big chunk from breeders. The breeders, in some ways, are the most heartbreaking because it's not an act of nature. It's an act of human neglect and exploitation.
Yep.
Usually by the time the ex-breeders come to us, they are spent, used up, exploited and no longer worth feeding, and they're not worth the medical expenses that we end up paying. Chipmunk is an ex-breeder. Hi, handsome.
Aww.
Hi, handsome.
What was he like when we first came in?
He was a complete mess. He had very little fur, and stroking him was like stroking a cheese grater.
Oh, dear.
He was just covered in these really sharp lumps.
I mean, you can't tell looking at him now. He looks so fluffy and lovely.
He's gorgeous. We all adore him.
Yeah.
He did have a while to get the skin improved.
I bet, yeah.
He also had to have double ear surgery.
Oh, what's wrong with his ear?
He's profoundly deaf.
Oh. So
It's a breed thing.
Oh,
It's quite common.
Oh, I see. Do you think the government could have done a bit more to stop the breeders?
Legislation could always be improved.
Yeah.
But Chipmunk, for example, did not come from a registered breeder.
Right.
He comes from underground breeder.
Yeah. What you're saying is the laws are clear, what's allowed and what isn't allowed. It's a matter of policing and finding these people
And for it to be a priority, I don't mean the priority, but to make it an important issue.
And do you think that demand plays into that as well?
Absolutely. The root of the breeding exploitation is the demand of the public to have these sort of, can I say it, genetic mess? You know, they're overbred. He's an exotic, she's an exotic, and her face is almost concave. See his nostrils? You can hardly see his nostrils. I think education is the key because most people, they have a preconception about, yes, they want a French bulldog or they want an exotic cat without actually knowing the awful history to that individual and without knowing the health problems that go hand in hand.
And that's where your charity steps in, I suppose.
Yes, we have a very active education program reaching out to schools for the next generation. I think most people can be persuaded to see the facts, and at least if they have the facts, they can make an informed decision. Because most people are not making informed decisions, they're just going impulse buying, basically.
The true value of a shelter can't be underestimated. Without their passionate efforts, these pets wouldn't even stand a chance. Darren heads to a dog shelter to discover more.
So, Connie, how long have you been a volunteer?
For 5 years now.
5 years. Are you exclusively like a volunteer for dogs, or do you do cats as well?
I do a little bit of cat, but mainly for dogs.
Ah, I see. So how often do you go into the shelter to help out as a volunteer?
I used to come in once a week, and then I started volunteering on things that does not require me to go to the shelter every single week.
Right.
But so I end up volunteering almost every day.
Really?
Yeah.
Why do you love it so much? Where's the passion come from?
I just think that when you see these animals and you know that you can make a little bit of difference for their lives, you just cannot not do it. Even though sometimes it's very frustrating, there are very hard times. Sometimes you see animals coming in with like very bad state, human abuse, neglect, and you know that if we don't step in, then they won't make a chance on living. But then the positive side is that if we do step in, they most often find a home and change positively.
I mean, this fella, I know he came from, you know, the story that everyone knows about, right? I mean, how many huskies were there at the beginning? How many did you guys rescue?
We didn't take all of it. I think there are not just huskies, but other dogs as well, maybe 50 to 60 altogether. And we took in maybe more than 10.
Wow, you guys still took in more than 10. And I mean, I've been to the shelter just now. It's not the biggest place in the world. I mean, taking in 10 dogs of this medium-sized dog, I mean, how hard was that?
If we have space, then great, but if not, then we really need fosters' help. But finding foster is not easy at all because a lot of people expect a perfect, pretty dog, but dogs that we newly rescue are often skinny, scared, hungry, dirty,
fearful,
full of fleas and ticks.
So I know other than the huskies that you guys rescued, you guys also found some dog at a pig farm, right?
Yes.
What was that story?
Oh, basically every single day we have some crazy story.
Yeah?
Yeah, but that one was, there's this old man with 3 dogs, and they sent us, some volunteers sent us videos and said that these 3 dogs has been living in the pig farm, half outdoor for the past 10 years. It's really dirty and there's a cage.
Right.
We really don't recommend people keeping their cats and dogs in a cage. It's just miserable to think that for the past 10 plus years, they've been kept in a small space, all 3 of them together, never got enough exercises or love or comfort or medical care, just the basic stuff.
So how hard has it been to find more volunteers? People like yourself who are so passionate.
It's hard to find people because we have 2 centers and we open 365 days a year.
Wow.
So every single day.
Yeah, and what kind of things do you think the shelter needs or is lacking that would really help?
There are so many ways to help apart from volunteering or adopting. You can foster, you can donate towel and newspaper. I think it's important for people to know that if you do really want to have certain breeds, okay, like in a shelter you can still find different types of breeds, different age, even pure breeds, babies. And and of course older dogs has their good points because they're calmer, like middle-aged dogs too. So before buying, you really could consider adopting.